some more musical chairs here in the room. But I'm going to introduce now Tia Friedland, who's a training specialist for Queensland and Northern Territory with Thomson Reuters. And of course, that includes Westlaw AU in the stable. So we'll sort of just change over and stop. Just do a new share, just stop. So stop that share. And then share screen and go to the desktop. No, not quite doing what's supposed to do. Stop the share now. Thank you. Share the screen. Down that one. Not shares. Okay, that all looks good, I think. So I'll hand the driving seat over to Tia. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hello and welcome. I'm going to do a really brief step through Westlaw AU and just show you how to find the most commonly looked for things when you're doing some research. You may have noticed, if you've used Westlaw AU before, you will have noticed that in the last week the site has changed slightly. This is mainly a cosmetic change. There's no change to the functionality whatsoever. Mainly what has changed is that it's now a mobile responsive site. So if you access this on your iPads or your smartphones, it is actually works exactly the same and it works very well. The main change is the introduction of this pane on the right-hand side, and it can be hidden away and it can be redisplayed again. Now, this pane has been added, and this is where you can have quick links, and quick links are when you access information from your publications on a regular basis and you just wish to go straight through to them, you can make a quick link that appears on the right hand side. Now we can see here there is a quick link to First Point and to the Laws of Australia, so you don't have to navigate via here and go directly through. So we'll hide this pane away just to make the screen slightly bigger. Generally, we just have our normal toolbars and we have a little home button. So whenever you want to get back to your main screen, you just come back to your home button. Now, the left-hand side here is also a pane where our search templates are nested. And these are specific or advanced search templates and provide us with fielded searches for the different data types. Now, this pane can also be expanded or collapsed for viewing. Basically, what this site does offer is browsing through all our data sets, and it also provides for searching. We'll have a look at browsing and see how we can do that, and also we'll have a look at some specific publications that you have access to. When we need to see what's in the cases section, all we need to do is to expand on the plus sign, and that tells us all the report series that are in the subscription. And likewise, if we want to see what is in the journal subscription, we can just expand on that. So wherever you see a plus sign, you can just expand down and you can browse through and have a look at what is in that particular publication. You will notice, as I've opened up, there are these scope buttons next to each publication, and that gives you information and product information. So for instance, if you went into any of the journals and you wanted to know more about it, you could click on the scope button and it would bring up some information regarding the editors, etc. Now, for browsing, for instance, in your news and current awareness, if you just clicked on your plus sign, you have two publications there, the Alert 24, and if you click on the plus sign, we can see that we've got the Alert 24 for the workplace and employment law, and if you want to see what the latest is in that, you can expand it out and keep on expanding with the plus sign down through to November, and then it lists all the articles that are there in the latest November edition of that particular Alert 24. Whenever we get down to the lowest level, we can then access the document. You will have noticed that as I have actually gone and expanded down, there are the check boxes that go right down to the document level. Now, these are isolation boxes, and you can put your ticks in the boxes, and these are for isolating, for printing, downloading, or email, which is available in your delivery icons at the top. You can also use these boxes for limiting your searches, and we will do that at a later stage. But if you wish to access the document, all you need to do is click on the link, and the document will then open on the right-hand side. When the document's opened, on the left-hand side, you will notice that what's taken place of the search templates is now a table of contents. And I'll just scroll up a little bit, and it tells us now exactly where we are. And also what it does is duplicates the table of contents that we had on the main screen, and then we can go and navigate from there, either opening up documents or choosing to print them out. This pane on the left-hand side here is expandable and collapsible as well. Okay, so whenever we get to any kind of a document, this is what you will see, your delivery icons again, and you can choose what to do with that document. We have backlinks and also going to the home, which takes you back to your home screen. I recommend using the backlinks because when you've done a complicated search and you sometimes use the back arrow on your browser, the search can actually disappear. It doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes it can. So it is highly recommended to rather use the backlinks. Now, that is actually the browsing. And what you can do is you can also search as well. Now, with Westlaw AU, you've got a couple of options when you search. You've noticed that down here, you've got all your data sets. So within the cases, you've got your different law reports. And in the legislation and commentary, you've got all the different publications as well. So when you're doing searching or browsing, or searching rather, you can decide whether to limit your searches to only the cases or to the legislation and commentary. Because if you don't choose any of those boxes, by default, your search will run over all of them. There is an advantage to that, which I will demonstrate. But just before I do that, I want to open up cases and just highlight a product that we do have, which is called First Point. Now, First Point is a product which is a combination of a couple of print products, namely the Australian Digest and the Australian Case Citator. Now, this is the online version of that product and a combination. And it consists of case summaries of both reported and unreported judgments. And the unreporteds go back to 1825 and the reporteds go back to 1999. So it's a valuable tool for doing case law research where you can get your digest summaries, plus you will get a large amount of references out through to other cases, cases cited, and other relevant documents to a particular case. Now, First Point is divided up into about 80 different classifications, and I've scrolled down to show you all of them. So if we went down to the classification of workers' compensation, for instance, and we clicked on the plus sign, we can expand right down and eventually get to the lowest level. And when we do get that lowest level, we can then see all the cases that have been classified to that particular subclassification. So we'll click on this one, what constitutes injury? And within First Point, we can see when it comes up on the screen that there are 112 cases that have been classified to this particular this is very reactive. And we can see that there's the classification that we chose. Now, you'll notice that there's a couple of classifications here because every single case does receive a classification when it's receipted in by our editors, but many cases receive more than one classification. And just scrolling down, we can have a look at the difference in amount of classifications. Each of these is linked. So if we decide to come down to this particular case here, we can see the classification that we browse down to is the one over here, but it's also been classified to all of these others. If we decided we wanted to go and see all the cases that are being classified to this particular one, we could just click on that link and it would take us directly through to all those cases as well. Again, on the left-hand side, the table of contents is opened up and I've expanded that out just to get a better view, and you can go and expand out and navigate on the table of contents without having to go back to the main page. Okay, now with first point as well, and I'll just talk to first point before we go in and do a search. You can see that that is highlighted in green, which shows that we've actually navigated through to first point. And when we do a search and the search terms are found in first point, that will also be highlighted in green. What it's doing is allowing us to go into the entry. It's giving us all the classifications, but it's also giving us all the information like the courts and the citations, etc. It also gives us the opportunity to download a Word version of this particular case. Now, we also have flags next to the case names, and this one indicates that it has some litigation history, but not known to be negative history. Now, I have asked Jill to upload some documents, and they have been, yes, to Blackboard, which explains these little flags as well. And also there is some documents related to first point, which is a really a much bigger in-depth scope document with respect to first point, as well as an explanation of how it looks. Just going into an actual entry into first point, and you will notice that when we open up any documents in Westlaw AU, there's a very uniform look, and they will all present exactly the same in what we call a tabular format. We're in first point, so first point is highlighted in blue, but we also have a tab that gives us access to the judgment text. But there's also another tab which is related documents. Now this one is really important, not only when you're in first point and you're researching case law, but in any document whatsoever in Westlaw that you have on the screen, there will be a related documents tab. So what this does is the editors have found all sorts of other documents, be they commentary products, whether it be journal articles or news items that are related to the particular case. They will then be noted there. And what they have found in this particular case is that this case is related in some way to this case that's up on the screen. If you find that there is a link, that means you have access to that document within the subscription. And if it's grayed out or not available, then it means it's not part of your subscription, but at least you do have the citation. Getting back to first point again, whenever you open up a document, and especially in first point, you will notice that the details of the case are always at the top of the screen. And I'm sorry about scrolling, but the mouse is really reactive and you can't go at a half. But it tells you all the details. So when you're doing case research and you find all these details, it gives you all the parallel citations, the date, the court, and everything. So it is really a wealth of information. Plus it gives you the classifications. And then just below that, it will give you the legislation considered, and if there is a digest entry for the case, then there will be a digest entry. It also gives you a summary of all the cases that have been cited, and as I pointed out before, those that are linked you can access directly. Those not, it means it's not part of your subscription. Okay. And then, of course, if you do want to see the full judgment text, you can go through to that tab. And again, the details are repeated at the top, and you can scroll through to the actual judgment text. Now, going back again, and you'll see that the links change. Because we have browsed, it doesn't really make any difference whether we use those links. We could just go directly home. But if we've done a search, it is best to use those links. So that was looking at first point, which is our case summaries. And what we can do is we can go and have a look at all the leading cases that are being classified to a particular classification, or we can do a search. So what I'm going to do now is do a search and then show you how we can actually limit our searches, or we can just search across everything and then apply post filters to our search. The first thing we're going to have a look at is our free text search, and which is a part of our basic search. When we do basic searching, it offers us three options. We can either do free text, or we can search within the titles of the documents, or if we have an exact citation, then we can go directly and use that. First of all, I'll do a free text, and we're going to do it over all the publications. If you need help with terms and connectors, this is the link, and that tells you all the terms and connectors that is supported by our site. Our site also uses the exclamation mark for the multiple wildcard. And if you're wanting to do a search with numerical connectors, this is how you will set it up, which is very, very important when looking for phrases, and you don't want to look for exact phrase, but for words close to each other. So do bear that in mind. Okay, so the free text search that I'm going to do is if we're looking for information where we are looking for where companies have breached their obligations to keep financial records. So I'll just type in the keywords. And we're going to say, please find them within 5 of the phrase financial records. And we don't have to worry about the plurals because it'll pick up the singular and the plural. Just as a matter of interest, if you leave a space between 2 words, it defaults to an and search. So you don't have to worry about putting in and, because that is just the default. So basically what this is saying is find the word breach and obligation within 5 of the phrase financial records. It's going to search across everything because we haven't ticked, but if we only wanted to search cases, we could put a tick in the box for cases. And if we wanted to do the cases and the laws of Australia, which is our encyclopedic version of Halsbury's, then you could put that in there and it would only search across those 2 data sets. But for the moment, we'll just let it go and do the search over everything. And it's working very hard to return those results. Okay, so what it's done, it's returned us 66 results, and it has found them across the board in all different publications. And you can see the highlighted words found within 5 words of each other are highlighted in yellow. Now the very first, I'll try and get this up a little bit. The very first example is a case, and you can see we've got the highlights of green. What that means is that it's found our search terms highlighted in yellow. It's found a first point entry, which is our case summaries and case citator. It's found those exact words in there. It's also found the exact words in the Federal Court Report, for which we can get a PDF version if we want. We can download that. And it's also giving us access to the judgment text, which is the unreported judgment, and we can have the Word version of that if we wish. If the exact text was not found in the unreported version, that would not be highlighted green. And if I scroll down a little bit further, we may see one where, sorry, there it is there. It has found it in that particular report series, but it hasn't been found in the unreported version. So therefore, they've given you the unreported version, but it hasn't found those exact words. Okay, so going back up to the top again. So we've got our 66 results. Going over to the left-hand side, it's now telling us exactly what we've searched for. If you decide you want to change that search, you can go in and edit your search if you like, or if you want to change it altogether, you enter your search, then you can work with your 66 results in a better fashion. So in other words, you can go and look at all your case results first, then you can look at your commentaries, and you can have a look if there's any journal articles. Not too bad if you've got 66 results, because you can page through and scroll through all of them. But if you had 266 or 766, it would be a little bit of a problem to work through. So coming down onto the left-hand side, you can filter the searches by content type. So if we expand that out, and I will make this a little bit bigger for you to see, we can actually see that we've got 43 results that were found in the cases, and that includes the first point. There's 7 instances in the commentaries. In the Laws of Australia, there's 1 entry, and we've got 4 journal articles. So the advantage of doing a broad search across all our subscription is that we've got all these results here and we can choose what we go and look at first. So for instance, if we clicked on the link for cases, we can go through and have a look at all the cases that contain our keywords. Okay, now we've got our cases. Now you're looking up there and you're thinking, well, there's 34 results, but there's 43 documents. Why is that so? The reason is because we've got 34 results, but within those 34 results are contained 43 documents. And if we have a look at the very first result, you can see that it actually contains 3 documents. So that's why there is that discrepancy in that number. Within the first case, all the details, all the parallel citations, the details of the court, tells us where it's been found and the options to download, and all the classifications where this particular case has been classified to. Okay, then it also gives us our hit terms in context, which are found in each of the publications. So this is where it was found in First Point and in the Federal Court Report and in the unreported judgment. And I'm so sorry for the scrolling. I hope I'm not making you dizzy. I'll just make this a little bit smaller on that side. Now, the handy thing about this is that you can actually scroll through and see the words in context and see whether they are actually relevant to what you are looking for. So it just makes it a lot easier to be able to find your relevant information. If I go up to the top here, I can show you that you can actually change this. This is ranked by default to relevance. When we're doing a search over multiple data types, it will always rank by relevance. However, if you go into cases, you can change that by date for the most recent first. So you can change your ranking however you wish. You can also change your details. By default, it's on most, but you can change it to least if you just wish to scroll through and have your bare results if you're looking and you know what you're looking for. However, most people do tend to prefer having the most results because it enables you to see your hit terms in context, which is most handy. Okay, from here, if you want to, you can go and print all your results. You can download or email them again because you've got the check boxes next to all your results list. You can select everything and then choose to download your email results. Email the list of results. Do take care though, I'll just show you. When you go and choose to download or email, it sometimes asks you, do you want to do the full text documents or the list of search results? By default, it says full text documents. So if you only want the results list, please make sure that you click on that button, because otherwise, if you've got a result list of 100 documents, you're going to get 100 full text documents, which might not be good for your email server. So just be sure of that. I always give the advice is when you have to fill out, read from top to bottom. It only takes an extra 30 seconds, but it could save a lot of trouble. Okay, going into the actual case. When I click on the title, it gives me the option to go into First Point or whichever report series. Now I can actually access it from here as well. And it doesn't matter which you access because it will give you access to all the others as well. So if I went into the Federal Court Report, it would give me access. I'd be able to go into First Point as well, and likewise with the unreported judgment as well. As I said before, the very handy thing with First Point and with all the documents, or most of the documents that you get in Westlaw AU is this Related Documents tab because it provides a wealth of related information. Again, just to recap, we've got our First Point entry and we've got all the details repeated. We'll scroll down a little bit more. And in this particular case, we do have a digest entry, which is a case summary. And we'll just scroll down and see that it's basically a summary of the case with links through to the various classifications, First Point classifications. And then it will go down through to the legislation considered, cases cited, etc. And you'll notice that all the cases that need to have flags will have the flags next to them. One of the things with First Point, they also do have a little red flag, and that does not mean that the entire case has been overruled or overturned, but only on at least one point of law. So there may still be good law in that case. Right, now if we wanted to only have a look at the cited documents, we can click on the cited documents tab, and all that's done is lifted out all the cited documents from that particular case and put it into a summary. So if you wanted to just print out the cited documents, you could then go to your delivery icons and print it out from there. And then looking at the related documents, scroll down, and it's given you some other cases, plus it's given you some links to commentary because they are linked. You do actually have access to it. And then there's some journal articles and news and current awareness. So all the related documents have information which is somehow related to this particular case that you have found in First Point. Okay, so we will go back. Now we'll be using our links because we're going to be going backwards, and we're going to go and have a look at perhaps what the Laws of Australia has to say about our search terms. Okay, so we've gone back here, and whenever you're clicking back, as soon as you don't see any other links on the right hand side, just come over to the left here and you will see some other links to navigate backwards. This is our little search summary, so it's telling us that we have now filtered it down to cases. So if we click on our original results, it's taking us back to our 66 results. Okay, there we go. And we can then go down to our content type again, and we can go down to the Laws of Australia. And this is the principle of law in the Laws of Australia. And if we click on the title, it'll actually take us through to the entry. And again, the familiar tabular format. Okay, and that is the actual principle, and this is the commentary and the application below. Everything is footnoted and with extensive linking to relevant case law. And if we scroll down to the bottom, it gives everything down at the bottom. But the footnotes do bring it up in context as well. As in all the other publications, your cited documents are always pulled out into a separate tab. And again, very importantly, your related documents. And if we scroll down there, it's cross-referencing to another title in the Laws of Australia. Okay, so returning back to our original results, and then we can go on from there. So you can see the advantage of doing a really, really broad keyword search, and then we can navigate backwards and forwards between the different data types to find our leading cases through First Point, having access to the reported and the unreported versions. We can go through and have a look at the commentaries on this. We can have a look at any commentaries that are on that particular search terms. We can go through to the Laws of Australia, and all of these extensively cross-linked. So wherever you go into, you can link through and find all the information. So it's sort of a one-stop shop in helping you to navigate around, and it will lead you into different directions. And you can always come back to your original search and start again. And then at the end of that, if you want to, you could go back and edit your search and put in a few extra terms. Another thing that is available as well is that when you've done a search, you can always refine your search with keywords up at the top here, and it also accepts your terms and connectors search in here. So whichever documents you have, you can refine them to perhaps exclude certain words, or if you're wanting to find other keywords in there as well. There's other filters that you can apply as well. You can directly go through to the product name. So if you knew, and I'll expand that out for you to see, if you're going down there and you knew that the information was directly in Robson's corporation legislation, you could go directly into Robson's and see that information You can also go in and limit your results to a particular jurisdiction, which may be quite handy if you are researching case law and you're perhaps only wanting Commonwealth results. Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll just go back home because we've completed our keyword search. And another option that we can do, and it's thinking, so that was our free text search that we could do across all our publications, or we could limit it by checking boxes to go down and search only certain data sets, or we could drill right down to the smallest part and search only in the publication, or actually within a publication right down to chapter and document level if we wish. So it's totally up to you as to what you do. The next thing we can do with this basic search is do a title search, which is really quite handy when you're doing a search for party names. My example, which was Trinic and Forgione, which we saw before. So I'll just type that in, and I don't need to put any connectors in between them. And I'll just check to see that I spelt that correctly. And what I need to do is to click on title, because now it's only going to be searching in the titles of the documents. And normally your case names will come up in the first lots of results. If it does find those two names within, say, a journal title, it will find that as well for you. But that's a really quick and easy way of finding that particular, for finding cases if you know both party names. If you've got a citation, and I'm going to use the citation which Lisa used for her Cadelpha case, so I'll type that in. Say, for instance, you saw that and you needed to get that case, and you needed to get the CLR version to download that authorized version. You could then just type in your citation. Okay, and then you just need to click that citation radio button, click on search, and it should find that case for you. And hopefully, oh yes, there I did. I wrote it down correctly. Okay, so there we have the Cadelpha case. And again, what it's doing is giving us opportunity to go and have a look at the summary in first point, or we can just directly go and have a look at the CLR. And of course, there's the PDF version to download if we need to. So if we click on the first point entry, just to emphasize the value of first point again, we'll scroll down. It gives us all the information. It tells us everywhere that that particular case has been classified in first point. And my scrolling seems to have gone a little bit bizarre. Okay, so we've got all the information and all the places where it's been classified to, and you can see that has been classified to quite a few places. And then, of course, we got the digest entry. Because this is quite a long entry, we have got links at the top here. So you go to the digest. If you want to go straight through to the cases that are have cited or citing cases, you can. And if you're wanting to find out the words, phrases judicially considered, you can jump directly through. Okay, and everything is extensively cross-linked or linked out, and also under the different classifications. This first point verified here just means that the editors have actually gone through and checked those references and they are correct. Again, the cited documents tab, related documents tab, additional information which may be useful in your research. And because this is such a long case, I think there's quite a bit, and you can see there's many, many, many pages of other references to your commentary, and no doubt to news, etc., etc. Okay, so we'll go home, and then that is our basic text, enabling us to do free text, title searches, and just citations. And if we're doing titles or free text, we can limit through to our checkboxes. On the left-hand side here, this is where we come into searching specifically in certain data sets. So if we are only researching case law, we can click on cases. and you can see that it brings up a template which is specifically fielded for searching in different parts of the case. You can go and put in your party names here. This is particularly handy if you only have one party name, and you're not sure perhaps of the spelling or the second party. You can put in one party name there, and then you can scroll down, put in some other information, put your jurisdiction in, and limit it to a date, if you knew the judge, etc. So you can combine your information to find that particular case that you're looking for. Again, you can search within the catchwords of the case, and you can also look for legislation cited within a particular case. So you can see these specialized advanced templates are for looking for specific information, whereas the basic search is looking for basic information. The main difference is that your basic template searches across the entire document, whereas if you're looking in the cases template, if you're searching in catchwords, it's only going to search in that particular part. If you want to search across the entire document, you have to go into free text. So do remember that, because searching within the catchwords is rather specific. And of course, you've got your words and phrases, and then you can go and choose all sorts of other information. The key thing to using search templates is not to put in too much information, because then it can sort of alter and narrow your results down quite a bit. Okay, so I'll just wrap up and just say to you that there are some other templates over here as well. We've got one specifically for legislation and commentary, which, as you would imagine, gives you specific fields for searching commentary for specific legislation. So, for instance, if you were searching for a certain section of Corporations Act, and you would come down there, just choose that, and then you would put in your section 286, and then it would just take you directly through to the commentary in that section. Bearing in mind, this is specific to the subscription. So if you do type in legislation and it doesn't come up in your suggestive word wheel, it just means that there isn't a commentary contained in that subscription which has commentary on that particular piece of legislation or that section. Okay, so that's your options for Westlaw AU: browsing, basic searching with 3 options, and then also your more in-depth searching. Searching in the laws of Australia is that's our encyclopedic work, and if you want to, there's also a specific template for that which is specifically fielded, and you can go in and have a look at what those results are. But then they also linked out to the case law, so wherever you start, the products are extensively cross-linked. But doing a broad search and then deciding where you want to go and have a look at your results is a really, really good place to start. And if you do need any kind of help whatsoever, I'll just bring this over here. There is some help, and you click on the light bulb and you go down to the bottom, because that's supposed to be an enlightening. And you can always send through to Ask a Trainer. It comes directly through to our training team if you have any problem. And just scroll, or attempt to scroll up. And it's not happening. Okay, there we go. We've got training and support resources where there are quick guides, tips, and also videos as well. So there's a wealth of information there. Are there any questions? No, it seems not. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Great, thank you very much indeed as well. Yeah. So as you can see, there's similarities and differences and different features across the 2 different systems. It's probably quite a lot to take in. We realise that, to have both platforms sort of at the same time. But again, as I say, we're recording, so you can go back and work through one on one day and one on another day and take it much more slowly. So, and as both Tia and Lisa have pointed out, there are lots of help resources, and we've highlighted some of those on the Blackboard site already so you don't feel that you're sort of battling upstream too much. But it does come down to experience. It's fine as many of the queries. We've got lots of exercises for you that you can work through and use those as sample queries for you. You don't have to make them up. There's things that you can actually then work with as well. So we'll take another short break just for a couple of minutes, and then we'll be back and introduce Joanna. And she's going to take quite a different take about some of the backroom things that happen in the federal court specifically, and other courts, I think, too. So we'll see. So, okay, see you back here in 5 minutes.